Hello and welcome back to Beyond the Playbook. Today we're honored to welcome a guest whose passion extends far beyond the pitch, Leandra Flury. Leandra is a Swiss professional footballer currently anchoring the defense for Grasshopper Club Zürich in the AXA Women's Super League. But her impact isn't limited to her athletic prowess. Off the field, Leandra serves as the head of early childhood education for the city of Wallisellen, championing the development and the well-being of young learners. She is also a committed advocate for gender equality in sports, using her voice to challenge norms and drive change. In April 2025, Leandra delivered a powerful lecture at the University of Zurich on human rights and sexism in women's football, spotlighting issues that resonate across the globe. Her courage off the field was further recognized when she publicly addressed verbal harassment during a cup match, earning her a nomination for the prestigious Prix Courage Award. Today, with Leandra's help, we will preview Switzerland at the Women's Euros from an on pitch and an off pitch perspective. So, Leandra, welcome to Beyond the Playbook. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm good. Still a bit tired from traveling, but I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, that's nice to know. So, taking it back a year, do you remember where you were when Switzerland won the hosting rights for the Euros and how you felt?
I honestly don't know. I don't know where I were. I would think probably work or university. Um, I was excited and at the same time I was skeptical, thinking, oh, I think the Swiss Football Federation is probably gonna lay back on it a bit and say, this is gonna do all the work we should be doing. Looking at it now, they've done a lot of work, put in a lot of effort and money, I would say. And I would say now it's up to them to still make our own Swiss League grow and on a long-term basis, which I'm still a bit skeptical about.
I am. It seems like they should. Hopefully, they don't use this just as a not an excuse, but as something to show that they are really committed, but they actually put in the work. Yeah. So, how was the public's reaction? Do you think?
Um, I always say inside the football or the women's football bubble especially, everyone got very excited. It's gonna be like us in the bubble. We know that it's gonna be Europeans' best football shown in our stadiums, which is amazing. I'm not quite sure how everyone outside of the bubble and just society sees it. I think a lot of companies and places are jumping onto the wave, I would say. Um, Spotlighting women's football a lot right now, but not doing anything outside of the Euros. So them being surprised that almost I don't think there's a single team in our league that is fully professional. So I'm missing that a bit. I'm always telling people to come watch the games in our league, and everyone gets surprised about the fields that we play on, the stadiums we play in, which aren't stadiums most of the time. About us working part-time to full-time. It seems very nice to jump on the Euros wave, but I'm still not too happy about everyone using it as a platform right now. And I feel like they're not gonna do anything about it after. I'm very skeptical.
So, do you think if Switzerland does go a little far in the tournament, if they make it to the knockouts or at a significant reach a significant stage, do you think that may help?
I think it will help spotlighting women's football in Switzerland. Yes. With almost none of the players being on the national team and playing in our league, I think that it still needs a lot more effort to bring people to our games, and that's up to the clubs and the federation, because no one's gonna come to our games thinking, oh, I'm gonna see Lia Valti, because she's not playing in our league, and barely any national team players are playing in our league, which I see it as a sign for where we are with women's football in Switzerland. You still have to get out of the country to play, to be able to play on an international level. So I think that says it all. As long as you have to get outside of Switzerland to get to a level where you can compete on this level, still not a very good sign.
Yeah, so I think by the sounds of it, it seems like even if the national team does do well, it may only attract more crowds for their games rather than the entire league.
I'm not
As a
sure.
result.
I think it will still attract more people to our games, but not if there's no effort in telling people when our games are, because right now the people inside the bubble know when the games are, but no one outside knows. And that's the point. You have to figure out which is the group that you want to get to the game. So is it families and kids? Do you want to, I don't know, it's a different strategy, but you can also think about wanting the fans of the men's team to come, or if you want to build a whole new women's football culture, which I see as a very good option. But I think they have to decide who they want to support women's football in Switzerland, as a new group or an already existing group.
Oh, okay, yeah, I get that. So, your mother's a journalist, and growing up in a family that was passionate about football and storytelling, how do you hope your journey inspires young Swiss girls to dream big and make an impact on and off the pitch?
Um, that's probably my biggest hope to come from the Euros, that we will have young girls dreaming of becoming a professional soccer player, because I don't think I ever dreamed of that, because it wasn't what I saw. I I trained with the under 14s when I was 11, and our first team had a lot of players that worked all day and trained in the evening, which was what I saw. So I wanted to become a teacher and play football in the evening, which is ridiculous looking back now. But it's all I ever saw. So I'm hoping that they're gonna be dreaming of, or that they allow themselves to dream of playing in full stadiums, to play in front of a crowd, 20, 40, 60,000 people, and to earn their money with it, to live off of that. What I'm doing right now is, apparently I'm the spokesperson about sexism and whatever is going wrong in women's football, which I find a bit weird. I think even just talking about sexism, I know most of my teammates have their experiences. They might not be as sensitive to it as I am because of my studies as a social worker. I'm a bit more aware of these things not going the right way, but I think everyone else could be speaking up too. So what I'm hoping that kids will also learn from it is that you just have to stand up if you want something. There's one video that our national team made, and I think it's our head coach Pia Sundhage talking, and she's talking about stadiums being full, girls or women playing in front of big crowds, and she said this is not because we asked for a seat at the table, but because we built our own. And I think that's what also our league is supposed to be doing, and that's what I think little girls should be learning. If you don't have a space, just create your own.
Yeah, that's actually quite a powerful message. So the women's super league that you play in, it now enjoys relatively more sponsors and TV coverage. So as a player, how do you think this increased visibility has changed your experience, and what would you like to see in the future?
I think the step right now is, I don't think it works if that we say we want to be fully professional right now. That would be too lot to ask or too much to ask. But I would say we have to work towards semi-professionalism first, so that we don't just go buy players internationally, but to also give Swiss players a chance to get better. And we won't get too much better if we work full-time jobs or 80% like I'm doing right now, not getting enough sleep because of that. And always rushing to training. I always say it's not that I don't want to be doing more. I would love to be training in the morning and in the evening, and also have time to have a lunch break and work a job. That's fine for me. It's not about working a job. I like my job very much. But there is no time to rest. And I think that only works if you pay Swiss players enough too. And I think that would be a good next step, just so you can also ask a lot more from players if you pay them more. If you want me in training 2 times a day, you will have to pay me more, just because I cannot afford supplements or healthy food if I don't have money for it. You want me to eat healthy, but eating healthy is not that cheap, especially in Switzerland. And I don't think money is the solution to everything, but I think for us it would solve a lot to just have some more money. And people always think that we're asking about salaries like Messi and Neymar and all of them have, which is not the point. I would also argue that their salaries are insanely stupid, but that's a whole different point. But we're not asking for the same. We just want enough so we can survive. And yeah, I think that would be it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Unless players get paid more for their efforts and the amount of time and the amount of effort that they're willing to put in, I don't think there will be too much of a difference created. That's right.
And
Uh,
also with
hmm.
if 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 you pay us enough, we don't have to leave the country and go to a different league. Of course, it's still attractive, but the more time we can spend getting better and playing football, understanding our opponents, and working on athletics and stuff, we can get better. But we don't have the time if we still have to work. That's the whole point. If you want our league to be not just how do you say this? We don't just build players here and after, when they're not raw diamonds anymore, they can go to different countries and play Champions League and everything. I think the goal should be that we can do that here too, which means there must be investment. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. That's quite a good point.
Mm-hmm.
So the Euros is being hosted across eight different host cities in Switzerland. I think there are eight different venues. Each
Mm-hmm.
host city and venue has its own unique story and will have its own impact. So, how important is it for the tournament to highlight the local communities and how to create a legacy in each of these cities? Do you think?
I think it's very important. Not all of these cities, like for example, here in Zurich, we have two teams which will play for international qualifiers next season. We have one team that plays in our second league and one team that is usually up and down between second and third league. But I think Zurich is covered very well clubs wise. What the problem here is more so that we don't have enough fields. We don't have enough fields for everyone to play on. And then in a different city, you have different problems. Maybe some other cities and cantons don't have enough teams or enough clubs where the girls can play in, so they're not even talking about not having enough fields. um, I think it's also important for the whole association to work on getting more women coaches in. They also have to think about, okay, so we are already working, we don't have time for that, especially. How can you make it more accessible for everyone to also be put in these positions? I would have loved to take in a course, yet I couldn't organize it, I couldn't manage it. So far, I would love to do it. And to get more women into the game, it has to be more accessible, and the meaning of accessible is very different depending on the area, I would say. So I think it's important that they all have a bit different strategies to build up where there is more of a lack of something, I would say. If that makes sense. So yeah.
Yeah, I think each of the venues will have to take this as an opportunity to uh, grow the game in their own city.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also important to notice that I think a couple of stadiums didn't make the cut due to reasons. I think Bern wanted to host the final, but I think the men's team, I think the club had an issue with that regarding the turf or something like that, and that's why Basel was awarded the final. So
But
yeah,
I
there
don't
are a
think
lot of
they
issues.
wanted to host at first too. I think it was a whole thing finding a stadium that can host this just because of the men's team. And we're talking about the Swiss league being in the way of European Championship final. Like, it's silly and insane to even compare that. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
No. So the Euros, the tickets for the Euros actually started to sell out pretty quickly. What was your reaction to that, and what do you think it says about the growing interest in Switzerland and across Europe?
My first question was, are these all international fans traveling into Switzerland, or are these actual Swiss people trying to get to games? That was probably one of my first thoughts. The other one was, I it is so hard to get tickets, and I've been playing for 22, 21 years now. I've been pouring half my life into the sport. Now we have a tournament here, and the people that have been in the game for so long can barely get tickets. And it annoyed me a bit, besides the fact that I'm very excited for full stadiums, but I want to be in there too. So, and it's not that easy because the stadiums here are not so big. Like, for example, they're smaller. I was at Wembley a couple days ago. Like, we're talking very different. And I'm excited for full stadiums. I just find it a bit hard that what I'm also wondering, do our teams, the actual professional players in Switzerland, do we get tickets? Because I don't think we do. And I find this a bit sad as well. The ones actually already doing it at the top level here don't even get to see the top of Europe. So it's a bit sad.
Yeah, that seems quite sad, as well. As it should be a given, or at least it should make sense that the players within their own country should be able to access this tournament more easily than the fans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's actually quite bizarre. So, what progress have you seen in Swiss football when it comes to supporting mental health, child protection, and just generally providing equal opportunities?
Mm, difficult. I would say it very much depends on the club that you're playing at. Um, for me, I wouldn't say there's a big effort, or I don't see a big effort. Um, I wouldn't. I would say that playing at the top level is not very healthy to do. I think a lot of us have some sort of mental issues. We also have with working and playing and sometimes studying as well. We have a lot of people that are on the edge of burning out, which I see around me. And what I find sad is that their solution is that you just stop playing. And there's still, we're back at the money question as well, because if you can pay people more, they don't have to work two jobs besides studying and football. Because football, for me, it's about a 60% job, and I work 80%, so you already know I'm overloading the whole year, which is, I know it's unhealthy and stupid, and I have to build myself some how do I say that, tools into my lifestyle that help me calm down every now and then, take a break. But I have to force myself to do lunch breaks because I don't really have time for them, but I know I need to be eating and stuff like that. I don't always have time for it. So yeah, I would say I don't see a big effort, honestly, but it comes back to money essentially.
Yeah, it sounds like that's another area, and that's quite a crucial area for athletes, like you said, playing at your level, because trying to balance playing for a team and then balancing another job, balancing other off the field uh, activities as well. It doesn't make sense that there is no sort of provision for mental health, and asking players to stop playing is definitely not the solution. And I really hope that this situation changes, not just in Switzerland, obviously, but wherever this is happening. It's obviously not a feasible uh, situation.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that this is also something we can learn from the men's game. A lot of women players, I would say in England especially, have been speaking up about it. And not a lot of men players have been speaking up about that issue. There have been some in the last couple years, but I think if there's one thing that we could learn from men's football is that what they do wrong, we need to do right. I think that's probably the good thing about women's football not being so big yet. I would say, talking about Switzerland, is that we can still put things in the right direction. For example, also thinking about the fan situation. You can think about what players you want at these games, and the clubs can still have an impact on how these people act. You can put values in there, you can talk to them, you can work with them, so it doesn't get into situations that we just saw this weekend in Paris. People dying because of celebrations in football is insane. And it should not be going that way. But the violence in the men's fan section is something that I would really I find it very important that this never happens in the women's game, and that we learn from these mistakes, and that we try our best to impact this in a positive way. And the same with mental health issues, same with physical health, maybe. Yeah, I think that's a good thing about it not being so big yet.
Mm. Yeah, and I think also obviously the fan culture, like you said, in men's football, anybody speaking out about mental health, like we saw what happened to Dele Ali. He spoke up about it, and all the fans reacted negatively towards it. And then
Mm-hmm.
obviously that doesn't help someone who's already suffering from mental health issues. And then in the women's game, I think the reception when people talk about, especially players talk about issues like this, social issues, the reception is a lot more positive. So that's
Mm-hmm.
definitely something that is different from the men's game, and that is something that we should be proud of. But then again, I feel like a lot of men's players also don't talk about mental health because for them it may be already taken care of by the club that they play in or wherever they are, or it's not a worry. I'd say it's something that they don't have to actively focus on because they have enough resources around them to take care of that as
Yes.
well, right? Yeah. So that shows you the contrast between the men's game and the women's game when it comes to something as crucial as access to mental health.
Yes, very much so.
So recently, FIFA made the decision to expand the Women's World Cup also to 48 teams. What are your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts on that?
Um, I didn't even think of that so far, but thinking about it now, I would say it's a good thing because lower teams can get into games, into tournaments, and maybe it takes away some pressure, which they added with the Nations League campaign, because you don't have any friendly games anymore. But now it's also accessible for teams that are not at such a high level yet, and that it's still easier to get into it. I think it helps the game grow in those countries as well, because they get money from FIFA then for being part of it. I would say it's a good way to spread the game and lift it up in more areas than the usual ones.
Yeah, and I think obviously there's been a lot of mixed reaction to this. The positive thing that everyone's talking about is the access that a lot more countries will get to the World Cup and the chance to shine. because countries only need that one platform or those three games to be able to
Mm-hmm.
put their story out on the world map. Like it was in 2023, there were so many debutants, and then they came and they showed their story, and then so many of their players now are playing all over the world right now. So I think
Yes.
in that terms, it definitely gives countries a good platform. But I think
Yes.
we'll only know in the long.
Yeah.
Um, So, for Switzerland's campaign in the Women's Euros, what do you think their position is going to be? How do you think they're going to play? Do you have any predictions?
Ooh, very hard. Um, I think they have a group that they can do well in. They've not been doing it very well in the Nations League the last couple of games, which I also find a bit sad because I know they can do it better. I these players, we have a good squad together, actually. They just didn't really get to the point where they fully revealed that potential to us, I would say. There's still some time to the Euros. I'm just really hoping that they're using that time well to maybe glue the team together, because I think there's enough talent in there to do well and to do well in this group to get into knockout stages. Um, I think it's more so of how they blend together, which player is best in which position with which one next to it, stuff like that. But I think they can totally get that together and do it well. I think they can do first or second place in that group is absolutely possible if they bring their potential to the pitch, which is essentially up to them.
Yeah, I think you're right. In each of the positions, there are a lot of players. Obviously, there are players playing abroad in various clubs, and there are a lot of players in each position that will do that position justice. But I think it is a question of whether they gel together. And under Pia Sundhaga in a major tournament for now, I think it and they do have a relatively easy group, because this is not a group you can predict the outcome in, because Norway, as
Yes.
we know, has been very inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
Iceland and Finland also can make a case for themselves, but they are also a little inconsistent when it comes to the bigger stage. So I think Switzerland does have the chance to get out of that group.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too.
Are there any players that you are going to watch out for? Any Swiss players?
I'm gonna say very basic one, but I love to watch Sydney play. It's basic at this one because everyone knows her, but I played with her at Getse, and from the way she plays now, I feel like she's improved a lot. Also in her personality, also in her fitness stuff. Um, and honestly, whenever she plays, it looks so easy what she does, and it's just nice to watch. Honestly, her on the ball, that's amazing. I'm still very interested in seeing what the keeper's position is gonna look like. Um, and I think we have a lot of very mature young players in there. Naomi Louye, Iman Bene. I think these are gonna be exciting to watch, especially them blending into an old group. I don't want to call them old, but experienced. Um, with Leah that just won the Champions League, Ramona Bachmann. Then also our backline is gonna be interesting. I like to watch Viola Caligaris and together with Luana Bühler. Very interesting. Yeah, I don't think I gave you any new names, but there are no very new names, but these are going to be very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think Sydney Shuttleb is on everybody's list to watch out for at the Euros, not
Mhm.
just for Switzerland, but for the whole tournament as a whole, I think, yeah.
Yes,
So,
very much.
yeah, so that was actually a great, insightful chat about Switzerland. Thank you so much for your time. You can get back to your physio right now after this. Um,
Thank you.
but thank you so much for taking out the time and doing this with us. It
Of
really helped to
course.
have a player's perspective on the tournament and all the off-field issues as well.
Yes. Thank you very much. It was interesting.